It's a Wednesday. It's the 21st day of September 2022. Welcome to the Day Weather Podcast, brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Cowboy State Daily has more original Wyoming news content than anybody else in the Cowboy State. Check them out at cowboystatedaily.com. Before we get started, need to wish somebody a very happy birthday. Longtime podcast listener Rob Lansing, Clarks Fork Valley area, Wyoming. Happy birthday, Rob. Thanks for watching the Day Weather Podcast. Hope you have a good day on your birthday. Happy 75 years young. Well, very fallish weather conditions coming our way here for the next 48 hours. Cool, unsettled weather conditions are coming. Showers, thunderstorms. We are going to see a little bit of snow up in the high country. We'll show you that in a minute. But the last day of summer is today. Fall officially starts tomorrow, and it's going to feel that way. We're going to clear out across the region on Friday, but it's going to be a little on the windy side. That's something we haven't mentioned the W word much. You usually don't during the summer season, but as we start to make the transition to fall, there's going to be more episodes of wind to talk about. It won't last too long, but we'll have to talk about that here in a minute. Now, we're going to have what is likely going to be a beautiful stretch of weather this weekend into early next week across the Intermountain West. Sometimes we get these stretches of weather in early fall that are just hard to beat, and that's going to be one of them coming on up. We'll also talk about that hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of watch it and have fun with it. You can make your best guess on where it's going to go, because I'll tell you this, the models don't know yet where it's going to go, which is typical with hurricanes. Here's today's chart. Pretty busy. We got Fiona out there in the Atlantic, big high over Texas, and there's that low coming in off the west coast. It's been kind of stuck there, but now it's beginning to make its move. And over the next 48 hours, it's going to go like this. Here's that frontal system that pushed in some cooler air yesterday and last night into the region. So there's a bit of a collision, so to speak, happening right in this area right here. We also have that large fetch of subtropical moisture that's going to bring more rain into the southwestern United States. In fact, we continue to have flood watches for most of central and west central and south central Colorado, basically in the mountains and into the western slope, because there's going to be a lot more rain coming over the next 48 hours. It could cause some flash flooding in some areas, not widespread, but some areas. And you can see that pipeline of moisture. Look at that coming on up out of the tropics. It really isn't the monsoon. It's just the remnants of what's been tropical storm and hurricane activity down there being drawn up by the counterclockwise spinning motion of this low. That counterclockwise spin helps draw that moisture northward into the region. And with this system here heading this way, they're both going to be working in unison. So that's why we've got a lot of rain that's going to be falling in this particular area right here. Over the last 48 hours, this is where the rain's fallen. You can see it picking up there, but look at California. Well, this is just great news. Into southern Oregon there, some badly needed precipitation. It's really a bonus to get moisture like this in September in central and northern California, because a lot of times that just doesn't happen. We will see that area of moisture expand and head eastward. The precipitable water, like we showed you yesterday, really getting deep into that Four Corners area with that blue, the darker blue hues, and the greens expanding further north. Here's that boundary between the much drier air behind the front and the much more moist air on the other side of it. This is where we are by tomorrow afternoon. You can see it begins to get shunted a little bit to the east. We have a good slug of moisture up here. So what's going to happen is there's going to be some nice rain up here in this area right here, some high mountain snow. Good news for Montana. And then more rain into the day Thursday across many areas of Colorado, stretching into parts of Nebraska and parts of Kansas as well. And there it is by Friday morning, the low moving into the Dakotas and moving on through. The wind, I want to talk about the wind. As this system begins to move out on Friday, you see how the black lines, these straight black lines are closer together? These are lines of equal pressure. And you see how many they are? The tighter the pressure gradient, or the quicker the pressures change over distance, the more wind you're going to get as the air wants to move in that pressure gradient. So what will happen is winds aloft are going to be very stout going through the mountain gaps, and this is what happens on Friday. So on Friday, we're going to see some pretty good wind along and east of the Continental Divide. So be on the lookout for that. It will be pretty strong and gusty with those winds developing across the area. Then as we head on into the weekend, we should see those winds relaxing, although it's still going to be breezy. This is the precipitation forecast through Saturday evening. You can see a nice arch of moisture right here. Hopefully southeastern Wyoming and parts of Nebraska's panhandle will get into the action here. I do think there's a good chance that more rain will fall, and that heaviest rain will be right here. Then look at this, another really nice area of moisture here, which they needed. Some remains of that low will keep it rainy for a little bit longer in Northern California as well. Here's the snowfall outlook. This is the area up here, the Beartooths, the Wind Rivers, the Absarokas, the high plateaus of Yellowstone Park, the highest bighorns, and some other areas here we'll see some flakes of snow. I do think the Wind Rivers in particular, up high above 9,000 feet, could pick up a little bit of a snow accumulation out of the system, which means some fresh snow on the mountain peaks in western Wyoming and the aspens turning and a blue sky this weekend. Get your camera ready. There could be some great photo opportunities there. Now, by Monday, we have a big ridge developing in the western United States. So this gives us a nice happy face. This is that nice weather that's going to develop this weekend that's going to go into the middle of next week. We call it Chamber of Commerce weather. We call it Chamber of Commerce weather because when somebody visits and the weather's this nice, we say it's like this every day, so you want them to come back. And that's really how it's going to be from this weekend into early next week. And there's going to be the troublemaker late next week in the Gulf. So here's the game we'll play again today. Which model is going to win? So the European model, this is by 6 p.m. on Wednesday Mountain Time. You can see the European model is wanting to head it towards the Keys. The Canadian model is way, way further west, threatening the Yucatan and maybe Texas later on. The American model, well, you know what? It's in between, and it's also a lot stronger. So remember the placement of where the hurricane may form based on the modeling, and we'll see what happens. But our confidence remains very high. This is going to be making news probably shortly in the next day or two, but certainly as we head into next week. Have yourself a great Wednesday. We'll see you on the first day of fall tomorrow.